Me to come to order, Ouachita Parish School Board meeting, come anytime that your schedule would allow. Ms. Mickens, call roll, please.
Here.
Ms. May? Here. Mr. Wagner?
Here.
Mr. Hicks?
Here.
Mr. McCoy?
Here.
Mr. Graves?
Here.
Mr. Manley?
Here.
Now stand, please, for the pledge, be done by Board Member Sherry May.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And percussion be done by Mr. Bobby Jones.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, Lord, we just thank you for this day, Lord Father. Father, we just ask that you are with us in this meeting today, Lord Father, that your will be done, Lord Father, as it pertains to the business of the Ouachita Parish School Board. Father, we thank you for watching over us, Lord Father. We thank you for protecting us, Lord Father, for our faculty and staff, our students, our administrators, Lord Father, and all employees of the Ouachita Parish School Board. Father, I ask your blessings on the school board and our superintendent, Lord Father, we conduct the business of the school system today. I thank you, Lord Father, for our troops that defend us so we may be able to meet in open meetings like this, Lord Father. And Father, most of all, we thank you for your son, Jesus. We love you and we thank you, Lord Father. We ask son in his name. Amen.
We'll look down to the approval of the minutes, December the 14th, 2021. Need a motion and a second.
So move. Second.
Any comments from the audience? From the board? All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Approved, no. Motion carries. Approve the agenda. We need to amend the agenda to add item number 1 on the evaluation of the bid. So I need a motion and a second.
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion from the audience? From the board? All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Now I need to get a motion and a second for the full agenda.
I move we approve the full agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay? Any discussion from the audience? From the board? All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Personnel report, Dr. Coker.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. Would like to announce a new position. Well, actually, it's not a new position. It's a new person in the position. Our Assistant Maintenance Supervisor is Mr. Todd Leonard. Todd, if you'll stand, we'll recognize you. He'll be working with Stephen Hemphill. I think most of you know that Wade went to be at ULM to do some work there. So, Todd, we're glad to have you as second in command over there. That's it.
Yeah. Any comments from the audience? From the board? Motion carries. Personnel report. Moving down to business. Number 1, election of school board officers of the year 2022.
I move we re-elect Mr. Manley Vice President and Mr. Hicks President for the year 22.
Second.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion from the audience? From the board? All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Opposed, no. We need a motion. Roll call. We need a roll. Okay. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving down to item number 2, special recognitions, Ms. Eileen Smead.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. We're excited for January because it is the month that we recognize you guys for the jobs that you do in our system, and we appreciate you very much. To begin our recognitions, I'd like to ask Mayor Stacy Mitchell to come up with a proclamation.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. We do want to recognize School Board Recognition Month and recognize you and let you know how much, one, I know your job is hard, but it is appreciated. It is needed. Educating our children is so important because the success of a community is highly dependent on the success of the education system, and y'all obviously play a huge role in that. So on behalf of the City of West Monroe, I do say thank you and appreciate you. I love working with each and one, all of you. Just to read the last paragraph, it says, "In the city of West Monroe, I urge all citizens to join me in recognizing the dedication and hard work of local school board members and in working with them to mold an education system that meets the needs of both today's and tomorrow's children." So thank you. I'm looking very much for what you do. I'm looking forward. I keep watching Bowley every day, so I look forward to that, driving to work. And Eileen, did you want me to give this to Mr. Dr. Coker or Mr. Hicks?
Mr. Hicks.
Jerry,
Okay.
you
We'll
do.
get the proclamation and take
Well,
Pull that mask up over your nose.
Now, I am going to read at one of your elementary schools, so I'm going to let y'all have a good meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to call into our boardroom the 2021 Class 3A State High School Football Champions, Sterlington High School Panthers.
yeah. Proud of you, very proud of you. Boy.
Y'all can make a double row, that's fine. Dr. Coker's gonna join me at the podium. Of course, this is not your whole team. There were over 100 of them, but these are your seniors, and we're glad to recognize them today at the board meeting. I'm gonna let Dr. Coker, Coach, come on up, Coach Doty. Mr. Thompson. All right, so I'm going to call out some names so we can give these guys the honor that they are due. First, we have Jakeldrick Miller. Now, you guys are going to have to step up or raise your hand. Ram Foster. You guys can clap for him. Bryce Lark. Chase Mitchell. Luke Handy. Cole Thompson. Armand Mills. Cliff Jones. Cameron Rivera. Jacob Green. Ramon Hatfield. JT Barnett. Edmund Williams. Jordan Johnson. Brendan McNair. Peyton Park Smith. Jackson Porter. Hannah. Caleb Andrews. And before you hand that one off, would you like to read that certificate?
Bring my glasses. But I'll try.
I made it big.
Certificate of Excellence presented to DJ Hutchinson for outstanding achievement recognition as the 2021 Class 3A State Football Champion, Sterlington High School.
Congratulations, guys.
Before they leave, let me say something. Guys, I was actually at the state championship game, and not only was I proud for the come from behind win, that y'all actually did, because it was like a minute and a half, minute 3 seconds, something like that left. And, you know, they still could have won, but they didn't. And I don't know that I've ever been as proud of a group of athletes and coaches as I saw in that game than any I've ever seen, for the fact that you guys are true class. Y'all won with class. And that means everything. So, Coach, congratulations to you. I know that you've gotten several honors along with your team. We are very proud of you and being part of Ouachita Parish School System. So, congratulations.
Thank you, Coach. Oh, buddy, yeah, buddy.
Jerry, you want to say that? I almost ran over here and get the state championship trophy.
Okay.
What is it?
Moving down to item number 3, to consider and take action with respect to adopting a resolution authorizing the incurring of debt and insurance of general obligation school bonds, Series 2022 of the East Ouachita Parish Schools District of the Parish of Ouachita, State of Louisiana, and providing for the other matters in connection therewith. Mr. Grant Sluter.
Quite an honor. Grant Schluter with Foley Udell and Namdi Thompson, of course, Municipal Advisor. This item is providing for the processing and imminent sale of the next series of general obligation bonds on the east side. You had issued $21,795,000 in 2020. This issue will be the balance from the $42 million authorization originally. So this will be $20,205,000. The resolution provides for the sale of the bonds. We anticipate pricing and selling on February 23rd. And we'll have a confirming resolution for the school board. Your March meeting, I understand, has been set for March 17th. Is that correct, or is that still March 15th?
That is correct.
So it'll be Thursday, March
Yes.
17th.
Yes.
This will permit delivery of the bonds on March 24th. So the funds will be available for projects at that time. Namdi?
No, we appreciate the opportunity. Hopefully the market will hold up. Rates are slowly increasing. However, though, we're still at pretty much all-time lows. So we hope to have a good pricing here at the end of February.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Board, do we have a motion and a second to consider and take action with respect to adopting the resolution?
I move we adopt the resolution as presented and by Mr. Sluter.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion from the audience? From the board? Yeah, roll call.
Grant, you said that the funds will be available in March. What was that date? 24?
That is March 24th.
24? Thanks.
Just make us roll call vote, please.
Mr. Como,
Yes.
Miss May,
Yes.
Mr. Wagner,
Yes.
Mr. McCoy,
Yes.
Mr. Graves,
Yes.
Mr. Manley,
Yes.
and Mr. Hicks.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Moving down to item 4, a request from Parents' Choice Louisiana to present the rationale to dismiss council school board policy, EBI, public health emergency. Ms. Tiffany Haddon.
Good morning. If y'all could just give me just a second to grab my stuff and then give you stuff that you need for this presentation. Can I just bring it up to y'all?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
We can share.
Okay. Yeah, but.
I do do extra of these too. So I printed out copies of what I'm going to be speaking on today, just so that you can follow along, because I don't want to lose any of you in this discussion and this presentation. Before I get into like the typed up portion, it's been brought to my attention that the board believes that there really isn't any further action required in regards to the EBBI policy, but I just wanted to tell you that there is action required because of that sheet that I handed to you, the Bessie Bulletin, Chapter 4. If you'll look, there's a little red tick mark. So this policy under the Bessie Bulletin 741, Chapter 4, it expired June 30th of 2021. So any current policy that's in place in the CAP system, which this policy is still in place, is actually being based off of expired Bessie guidelines. So that needs to be on record that that expired, piece of guidance expired June 30th. And that also just, makes this point, or makes my point even stronger to dismiss this policy because it's no longer recognized by Bessie, okay? Okay, so.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
So this came from this is the Bessie.
Yes,
Book,
this
right?
is straight from their documentation online. Yeah.
So we had, thought that this was expired. And
Sir?
So by this, it says that it is expired.
It is expired.
Yeah.
And so just like other pieces of legislation that's been passed and stuff, if something's expired, are constituents still expecting that to be in place? No, we actually expect it to be dismissed or.
And it's actually in our policy book.
Yes, currently. Yes, it is.
I see no reason why we couldn't make a motion now to dismiss it from the policy book as we're not using it. It's expired. So with that, I just make a motion that we dismiss it from the policy book at this moment, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, and this has been reviewed, Tiffany, and so I'm going to second that.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion from the audience?
Oh, okay. I'm just going to step away then.
Scotty, thank you for that. Thank you. There's a couple of things that I wanted to touch on. Tiffany really get into what you wanted to get into, and that's okay. Like God moves in crazy ways sometimes. But and I should have spoke on this a while ago when you asked if somebody wanted to speak on the agenda. But you know what? I didn't have the courage. And sometimes that's what happens with us. So we kept hearing you guys' hands were tied, and I didn't believe it till I saw it for myself. I went down to Baton Rouge and I watched our representatives vote that the vaccine mandate go on to the schools have to be on the list. And I watched the representatives vote it out. Don't want it 13-2. Well, the governor said it don't matter. Doesn't matter. We're gonna put it in anyway. So seeing that made me realize that whenever you guys told us your hands were tied, like you were serious. Like it didn't matter what you thought, what you wanted to do. Like somebody can step over and overrule you, and it's that's what we want to do. We want to help expose that and remove that. This morning I thought I was on the agenda. I looked at it, saw that I wasn't on it. So this morning I tried to reach out and get on the agenda. And that didn't happen. And during that conversation, I was told that we parents come in here and tell lies and tell things that aren't true. And I just find that funny that that's said, because we brought it to the attention about the bonds and they were taken care of a couple weeks later. So us parents, we know what's going on. We do our research and we put forth the effort we need to put forth to find the things we need to find. And so when I heard that this morning, that really just set me off, And so I come, like, I have nothing wrote down, I have nothing prepared. I just come to you speaking from the heart. And I want to ask, Coker, you, like, let's send a letter home to the parents. Let's tell the parents, you don't have to have that vaccine. If you don't want it, if you don't want to give your kid the vaccine, fill out this form, send it back. Doesn't need a doctor authorization, doesn't need a church religion authorization, just need a parent saying, I don't want to give my kid that vaccine. That's it. So I'm gonna ask you, please, like, I don't want to, like, the lady I talked to this morning, she said, let's do it at the next meeting. Realize how many kids get vaccinated between now and then? Because we vaccinated 70,000 last month, and we gave the parents a $100 bill each one. So that's just something I would like y'all to consider. This policy definitely needs to be removed also. And again, thank y'all for letting me speak.
Thank you. Any more discussion from the audience? From the board?
I would like to say something else, if that's okay. I do appreciate you and Miss May going ahead and going forth with this, but I do encourage y'all to read through the material that I typed up. It is 10 minutes. It was designed for presenting the information to you in a way that you could start asking questions on why your hands are tied, okay? At the end of the month, I meet with several organizations across the state. You know, Article 1 that was passed under Jindal, where it removed board, you know, say and everything. We know legislation comes up in March, and school board elections are November 2022. So no matter our parental efforts or anything with working with you guys, if the legislation does not change to give our voter voice back to you all, Manley, Graves, McCoy, you know, Mr. Hicks, Como, Wagner, Miss May, if y'all cannot be our voter voice, then this is just a dog and pony show. And that those papers, those 10 printed out papers, show that this has been a dog and pony show for the most part the whole time. And I just want to encourage y'all to read through that. Look at Bulletin 741. Look at, you know, Title 49. Look at all the different laws and legislations that's in place. And I just encourage y'all to know that and start discussing. And I do want to be able to work with you all. I understand that we can't meet like this unless there's a special meeting called. But I can take phone conferences with one or two of you, or, you know, just, you know, I've left voicemails. I've had, you know, 3 or 4 board members actually reach back out and communicate with me. And I do appreciate that. The parents just want their parental rights that under the Louisiana Code respected and protected. Okay. One of the other things that's in some of my typed up notes is that there's not currently an emergency, okay? If there was, Bessie would have renewed that, okay? The governor even said that his state of emergency expires tomorrow, and it most likely will be implemented at the end of the month. You know, we have a huge amount of teacher shortages and staff shortages. I mean, just look at your, you know, personnel printouts. The emergency is teacher shortages. Okay, and we'll discuss that later on, but in some other public comment areas. But the pandemic right now is teacher shortage and staff shortage. You're looking for substitutes, you're looking for bus drivers, and that needs to be. That's a direct reflection of current policy, current rules, current things that are going on in the school system that is having professionals, careered professionals like myself, exit. And I never thought I would be one of the teachers that would become a statistic that within 6 years I would choose a different profession. I never thought that was going to be me, ever. And it ended up, I became one of those statistics. And the teacher resignations, coach resignations, staff resignations, it is unprecedented. So the overworked teachers right now at the schools, due to, you know, employees being out with COVID, that's not because of COVID. That's because of your severe teacher shortage. Okay, so the emergency is...
Sadly, that's across the country.
Yes, yes. And that's a direct, I mean, look at the teacher sick out days. And they're not doing a sick out day because of, I mean, just down south last week or two, teachers formed a sick out day. It wasn't because of COVID. It was because they're overworked and they don't have COVID leave unless they can prove that they got COVID from school, well, that's not medically possible. And then, you know, their whole point of doing those things is directly related to being understaffed and overworked and underpaid. So thank y'all for your time. Go ahead.
Any more discussion from the board?
Oh, we haven't had discussion on the board yet, have we?
Yeah, it was last discussion from the audience. Any discussion from the board?
Oh, okay, thank you. Now, so, Scotty, I appreciate you making the motion. I apologize. I just got this, and so this is a policy that we put into effect last year. But it expired, I'm about to understand, June 30th, 2021? And since it's expired, we need to remove it from our policy manual. Is that correct?
Any more discussion from the board?
Yeah, I have another question then. Maybe that we have some other policies that's in our manual that we perhaps maybe we need to look at that are either obsolete or that no longer that's no longer valid. And so if it's in the book and it's obsolete, maybe we need to just do a complete review of our policy manual.
And I can tell you, I'm working with other nonprofits across the state, and we do meet at the end of the month, and we will be reviewing policy manuals. Most school districts, I know 51 of them currently, basically go about the same language, everything's the same, copy and paste kind of thing into their policy manual. So that is a very good suggestion, and it'll help. It'll help us know what is actually to take place and what is not, what is the procedure, what is the policy, you know, especially for us advocates to be able to, you know, advocate, and for you all to represent your constituents.
Actually, through Mr. McCoy, through some research, because several of us had looked at this a few weeks ago and saying that it was expired, so thought it was expired.
Yes.
There was no need.
Well, I
Anything with it, but it's actually listed, the 741 clause, which is under the health and service. There's to go back to stuff that's obsolete and that's no longer in play. There's a lot of things in the state guidelines that are also obsolete that pertains to nothing the way schools are being operated. Yeah.
Okay. And I can understand that, and oftentimes because of so much that's going on and so much has happened.
Which is one reason that this was, the only reason it was even implemented, to my understanding, is because it had to meet 741 guidelines.
It had to meet minimal standards for reopening school.
Right.
So you could have either,
which was the 741 guidelines.
yes, you could have either created your own policy as a board local to us, or you could have implemented, just copy pasted Bessie Bulletin 741. So the board adopted their policy rather than making your own policies for local education. So according to the LEA agency, and that's Local Education Associates or something like that. So,
Association.
yes, association.
Louisiana Education Association.
Any more discussion? All in favor, yes?
Yes.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Moving down to item number 5, Finance Committee report. Todd Geis.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. Board, just a brief report on the Finance Committee meeting from November the 17th. You're going to hear more about this later. We only had 2 items on the agenda. We heard the investment report from Ms. Bennett, and then the committee took a proposal brought forward by Dr. Coker and presented by Ms. Nikas for pandemic pay using ESSER funds to pay that. And the committee voted unanimously to recommend to the full board the one-time salary supplement to the employees of the Ouachita Parish School System. And like I said, that is an agenda item later in this meeting that you will be voting on. So that is the Finance Committee report. You also have the minutes from the August meeting attached, as well as the agenda from that meeting. So that was it. It was a short meeting.
We have a motion and a second to accept the finance committee report.
I also move that we accept the Finance Committee report.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion from the audience? From the board? All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item number 6, finance report for November the 30th, 2021. Ms. Meekus?
Good afternoon. You have in your packet the financial report for the period ending November 30th, 2021. If you'll look at the first page, for the general fund, we're running about 98%, all the way down at the bottom, 98% of the prior year fund balance in the general fund, and 117% of the prior year fund balance in District 1, as well as the other sales tax accounts are running from 114%, 103%, 133%. What we're looking at, and we've said from the beginning with the sales tax, at the beginning of the pandemic, whenever we saw the sales tax collections increase, this is still uncharted territory. We are still in a time where we can't expect these sales tax collections to continue, but as of November 30th, we are up 9% for the fiscal year in sales tax collections, and we're up 14% for the calendar year in sales tax collections. So you can see in our fund balance that those are direct result in some of the funds, such as District 1 and the other 3 sales tax funds. If you look on the second page, our child nutrition fund, it is up 144% of the prior year fund balance. There are several reasons. One, we're running very short on staff due to the lack of substitutes, which would normally be a large cost for the child nutrition program. Also, there are a lot of additional funds available to her for the coronavirus relief funding, and Jolene's doing an excellent job at managing those funds to make sure that she's providing meals for the kids, accessing any additional funding that may be available through the pandemic, and running an excellent program that we've come to expect from our child nutrition program. If you look at the grant funds, we're actually down 28% over prior year fund balance. And what I'm looking at, the main difference in where we were this time last year and where we are this year. Last year, we were still trying to get one-to-one on the Chromebooks, and this is the time of the year when we were receiving the majority of our Chromebooks for our students and having those payments made. We've continued to utilize our grant funding for that, but that was a large expenditure that we had this time last year. So whenever we're comparing year to year, even though we've continued on with our grant funds, that was a large expense that we won't see duplicated in the coming years. But ESSER still continues to be the largest grant source that we have currently ongoing. If you look on the third page, we have our debt service funds, capital projects funds. The East Side 2015, we do have that updated. You'll see that in the January. Currently, we only have $1,200 outstanding in a purchase order, and we're waiting on a service. We have a contractor that needs to go hang some nets, and then 2015 will be gone. Thank goodness. And we'll just be dealing with the 2020 bond construction. So you see in the 2020 bond construction, we have a balance of $17 million, but with the bids that you'll see later on the agenda, coupled with the approval to sell bonds, as we get ready to go into the next bid process, that we have those funds available. This account will fluctuate and follow that construction. The 2019 storm damage, that is Boley Elementary. So as we come into the final months, we'll see that close out, and then we will pay the remaining cost to get Boley completed out of the west side sales tax. But we will look for that 2019 storm damage to close completely over the next 6 months. If you look at the second to last page, the general fund revenues and other sources, if you look at the general fund, we're down 1.27%, and this is in the first block. We're down 1.27% over the prior year, mainly due to a change in MFP. As of the end of November, we really haven't started receiving the bulk of our ad valorem taxes, so the majority of revenue coming into general fund at that time is MFP monies. Due to a loss in students, we've seen a decrease over prior year, so that's the main change from this time last year. And if you look at the school district number 1 on the bottom half of the page, you'll see that 8% increase, which is a direct result of the 8% increase in sales tax we've seen in the current year. And on the last page, the fund balances for those reflect the same. Does anybody have any questions?
Do we have a motion and a second to approve the financial report for November 30th, 2021?
I move we approve the financial report as presented.
I'll second. Second.
Second, okay. Any discussion from the audience?
Okay.
It's Ms. Meekus, right? Ms. Meekus. I heard her mention in the report about substitutes and needing substitutes. I wanted to just bring forth, some feedback that I'm getting from parents. Years ago, parents started being pushed out of schools, like with, room moms and things like that. But parents are very interested in the opportunity to those that are not doing a full-time job to get back into the classroom, assist the teachers, and be an advocate for the educators, as well as possibly save the school board some money, which is always a plus. But I'm just wondering and proposing, Mr. McCoy, you may find this interesting, but could we do a call? Could y'all do a call or send notice out to parents of what it takes to become a substitute for the parish? The fingerprinting, the applications and everything. That way they know that they do have an opportunity to work in the schools and help the schools and be there and help relieve some of these educators that are, needing the relief. I just want that to be a consideration that you might, mull over and discuss as a board, to send that notice out to parents that this is what you can do if you want to substitute and if you want to help your teachers, because they do. They want to be at the school, they want to be helping, they want to be in the classroom assisting the teachers. So,
Any more discussion from the audience? From the board?
Yeah, I just want to refrain on what you said. I think that's an admirable thought for sure. However, one of my concerns would be if we have parents if we would have parents to come in to assist, that they would understand that they are there just to assist the teacher. Oftentimes, I've seen when kids are playing little softball and baseball, and the moms and the dads are at the game, and the moms and dads sort of take over the coaching job as if it, that would just be my only caution if we were to even.
Well, that's why I brought up just to go through the order that is accepted by the parent.
Right.
Doing the application, the fingerprinting, the background check. So I think that would weed out those.
Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, and then I would hate to see if we got into that, then it became a political deal because the superintendent or the person that's over personnel would say, ma'am, sir, we appreciate you coming to help us out. However, we're gonna have to ask you not to continue going into the classroom, and then we have this pony and horse and pony show. But no, if that could be worked out, you know, because if what I read the other day is correct, that our substitute pool is considerably low, and so we have to think outside the box, or perhaps retrogress a little bit and go back to some formal the policies that we used to aspire. So,
Right,
but
and
Superintendent.
Mr. Geis has been working with our principals, and we are, we've addressed this with our leadership team, with our cabinet, with our principals, you know, because we've even had it on marquees if you go around the schools trying to fill not just substitute positions, but full-time positions, you know, whether it's for maintenance or custodial or cafeteria or what have you. And so way back, when I say way back, when I was personnel director, we probably had 1,200 people that were in our pool to be substitutes. And that's just the teacher pool. Today we have a little over 300. Part of that is COVID related. You know, we actually raised our sub pay, so we are very competitive. If you look around us at the others that are doing sub pay, but I know that Mr. Geis has been talking and will be meeting with some folks on this issue.
Right, we've been, in the last month, really working toward this. Mr. Miller and Ms. Smead and I are in the midst of an ad campaign that will go out hopefully in the next week to address some of the things that Ms. Atkins just brought up, to get the word out even more as far as billboards, radio spots, and stuff like that, on our social media pages to send out that information. So, we're working on that as we speak.
And I can tell you, when I was a principal, 17 years I was a principal, some of my best subs were parents of kids in that school. They were the ones that you could count on. They were going to be there.
Correct.
And I don't say this ugly, but they stayed in their lane. They did exactly. And, you know, I wish they could come in and assist teachers, but unfortunately they're there in that classroom by themselves for the most of the time. And so they're not a lot, you know, we're doing what we can to try to encourage and to assist them. But, and I think COVID has had a big play in why we are not able to get some of our subs right now. But we are certainly working on that.
Mr. Geis, if you send that to me, I'll certainly share it too on my page.
Will do.
Yeah, y'all get it.
Any more discussion from the board? All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Moving down to item number 7, approval of the resolution to provide a one-time salary supplement to OPSS employees in 2021 and 22. Ms. Meekus.
You have in your packet a resolution to provide a one-time salary supplement to employees of the Ouachita Parish school system in the fiscal year 2021-2022. I will say, this has been a long time coming. Once we were made aware of the ESSER funding, I know a lot of districts around us, all over the state actually, jumped out and did this a lot faster than we were comfortable with, because one, percentage-wise, the amount of money that we received and the things that we needed to accomplish prior to this funding happened, such as becoming one-to-one, such as making sure all of our teachers had Chromebooks in their hands so that they could teach on the same media platform that the kids were learning on. So there have been a lot of things that had to fall into place. Also, times have changed since we first received this funding. Theories of the funding have changed, guidelines have changed, and we've been working toward this, like I had mentioned, for quite some time. This is $1,500 across the across the board per full-time employee. It also includes our long-term substitute employees. our PRNs, which are nurses who are working in the schools every day. They have an assignment, just like our RNs who are hired by the board, but these are, they have an assignment, they're committed, they're there every day for the duration of the year. The difference is they're paid by the day, where a hired is paid by the contract. This also includes our other long-term subs, whether they be maintenance, cafeteria, teachers. These are people who were employed on the date of record, which is December the 1st, 2021, and they have committed to fill a position for the year. This does not include day-to-day substitutes. Even if that substitute works every day, this does not include day-to-day substitutes. These are for people who are committed to fill a position for the remainder of the year.
That's approximately 2,700 employees.
Approximately 2,700 employees.
When you say a day-by-day sub, are you talking about a sub who does not work in the same classroom consistently for?
Right. If they're called in each day to a different position, or they may be called in for a week here or a week there,
Okay.
those are day-to-day subs. Your long-term subs are, say, if I have a teacher who has put in for leave for the rest of the year, and we have found a person that is going to sub in their classroom for the rest of the year, every day, that is what we would call a long-term sub.
Thank you.
And we have that in various areas. We have that in maintenance, custodial, cafeteria, where the position's not available because the person's still employed. They're just on leave for an extended period of time, like the remaining of the year, or, full semester. So those long-term subs are the ones that we've included in this.
Yeah, I was asking that because, once those checks go out and people start receiving them, I'll probably have a day-by-day.
Oh, you will. You
They'll
will.
call and say, well, why didn't I get mine? And so, but now that I know the definition, then I can certainly share that with that, if I should get a call, probably.
Right, right. And usually, we would set some time. We know in payroll we're going to get a lot of calls when those checks come out. And sometimes it's a valid, we're made aware that we made a mistake, that we didn't include somebody that should have been. But we research every single one. So if we get 100 phone calls, we research and answer every one.
About 2,700.
Takes a little bit longer when you receive that many, but
About 2,700, you say, huh?
that's 2,700 that we shouldn't get.
2,700 happy employees.
Should be very happy employees. This also covers the benefits on that distribution. The salary supplement will be distributed March 18th of 2022. That is just prior to us being released for spring break. So the idea is that it falls in a gap of, between our 14th check in December, 15th check in January, 13th check in June. So we time this out in March, to spread out the workload, because these are additional payrolls that our staff has to go through, and we want them to be very accurate when they calculate these, but also to spread out for our employees a more steady stream of supplements as long as we can. Is there any questions?
We have a motion and a second for the approval of the resolution to provide a one-time salary supplement for Ouachita Parish School Board employees of 2021-22.
Second.
Motion and a second.
Fourth.
Any discussion from the audience? Any more discussion from the board?
I'll take that money.
All in favor, yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item number 8, consider of policies, Ms. Jennifer Nugent.
afternoon, board members. If you will look in your blue policy folder, you will see listed there on the first page that there are 9 policies in your folder that are listed there with changes. And I'm presenting those to you today for your consideration of those changes. And I will be asking for your approval of those changes in the next board meeting.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
Jennifer, can I just make a request? I think it came up a little bit earlier. We pay Forethought Consulting, as do all of the districts, I think, in the entire state, to put policies together. And they probably know more about policies than anybody around. Could you check with them and just see if there are other policies that have expired that they could bring to our attention so that we can see what it is that we can bring back to the board?
Okay.
Would you check with them on that?
Sure will. And that's where we get these
That is
changes.
correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. On this agenda item, is any discussion from the media?
Audience?
No.
When will these policies be put up on the site?
They should go up today or tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any more discussion from the audience? From the board?
Hey, my name is Don Nance, and I would just like to bring up a point that I have noticed through my own children going to West Monroe High School and also working with youth in my church. Something that I'm very concerned about is through my daughter's information and through the youth at my church's information, I understand that one of the largest drug activity spots in the city of West Monroe is next door at West Monroe High School. Now, this information that I received from the children that went there, they told me people are have marijuana, they're offered other drugs daily. And I understand, I spoke with counselors in the school system that mentioned to me, we know, we understand, we see where you're coming from when I said, why isn't someone doing anything about it? And I understand we have one sheriff's deputy there now, and we no longer have a West Monroe policeman there. They cut back shortages. But I am very concerned. Back 30 years ago, longer than that, probably, let's say 45 years ago, when I was in school, 40 years ago, I'll be being hard on myself, we had drug-sniffing dogs that came through the school often. And it was a priority for the school system not to have that going on. And I'm not being critical. I was invited here today and really the first time seeing what's going on here, and I appreciate everything I've seen today, but it's just a concern of mine that it seems like a blind eye is turned, or maybe we don't want to see a football player get in trouble. We don't want to see somebody important's child get in trouble, but it's a serious problem. It's a serious problem. My children went through elementary school, junior high school, no problems. And when they got to West Monroe High School, I began to have problems. And I talked to the counselors, and they told me, yes, sir, Mr. Nance, we know, we see, we understand, but we as counselors, we can't do anything about it. And so that's a concern of mine. I just wanted to air my concern. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Nance.
Any more discussion from the audience? From the board? Thank you, board. Moving down to item 9, Approval of purchase of property on 114 Riggs Street in West Monroe. Mr. Tommy Como.
This is a house that a piece of property, a house that we've been trying to get for probably a year. And we finally agreed, or the owner finally agreed to sell to us. It was appraised at $70,000 and he's offering to sell it to us for $68,500. So it's my recommendation that we go ahead and purchase this piece of property.
We have a motion and a second to purchase this property.
I so move.
And I'll second.
Yeah, second. Any discussion from the audience? From the board?
I would like to say something that it's usually questioned. Why is the school board buying property around West Monroe? I believe that man's statement right there is a pretty good point of why we're buying property
Exactly.
around West Monroe. So there is something being done about it. I wish we could do more.
I agree, Scotty.
Any more discussion from the board?
I just want to ditto what Scotty says. Appreciate that. And Mr. Nance, we didn't say anything earlier, but it just doesn't happen at one school. It happens all across the nation, and that doesn't give any credence to what's happening where your kids go to school. However, I'm a witness at one of the schools in the district that I represent. The principal, the assistant principals, and the teachers, they work cooperatively together every single day, trying to make sure they stamp that out so that it won't get a foothold. And, everywhere you're going to have a little toehold. And so, in my opinion, I believe that they're probably doing everything they know how to do without destroying the character of the school itself. That's my opinion.
Any more discussion from the board? All in favor, yes?
Yes. Yes.
Opposed, no? Motion carries. Item number 10, connection to bid number RFP 28-22, Education Resources, Mr. Bobby Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks, board members. Just want to make sure I have it read in the record that the RFP number 2822 should be assigned to that bid. On the last board agenda, it was 28-21, so I just want to make sure that I have it on record that the correct bid number is 2822.
Okay.
And that's all I need to do, Mr. Hicks, unless Mr. Noah thinks y'all need to vote on that.
I would.
Okay.
Okay, we got a motion and a second on the connection to the bid number.
So
Second.
Okay. Any discussion from the audience? From the board? All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Opposed, no? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. Thank you, board members.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Item number 11, approval of West Monroe High School ROTC drill pad. Mr. Kenneth Slusher.
Yes, sir. I think I came to you last board meeting. This had been approved prior to y'all taking office, or some of you taking office. But I told you the budget would be between $25 and $30 million. You have
$1,000.
$1,000. No. That's a heck of a drill pad.
It'll woke us up.
$25,000 to $30,000. We hired last minute associates to do the groundwork and the survey, and you'll have two bids in front of you, one from Twin Cities Striping and one from Amethyst. I recommend a low bid from Amethyst of the $24,900, and the engineering cost just a little over $3,000, so we're under the $30,000 top limit. I recommend we hire Amethyst to do this drill pad.
We have a motion and a second for Amethyst to do the drill pad.
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion from the audience? From the board? All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Moving down to item number 12, construction renovation projects report, Mr. Slusher.
All right, so you should have also a project status report in your folder. See if I can find it. We have the Bowley project, which we had the meeting last Monday. The Bowley is going along real well. We're still on schedule to finish probably in the month of March. And they were installing the kitchen equipment last week. You can see what they list at Bowley, what's being done, what has already been done. And then the other project we have is West Ouachita High School. And they also, that was TBA. And they also show the work that's being done there at TBA. I'll be glad to answer any questions if you may have them.
Any discussion from the audience on the construction report?
I got one.
From the board? Okay. Thank you, Ken.
Ken, Ouachita High School roof is 90 what percent?
99.1%.
Okay, so we got 9/10.
Probably like, you know, a little bit of trimming on the edges and stuff. I was out there yesterday. Okay.
Yeah, they just like just a tiny bit more.
Everything worked out pretty good on installing it and.
Right.
It looks good. I didn't get up there.
It
Need a
looks
motion
real
and
good.
I need a motion and a second to accept this construction report.
So move.
Second. A motion and a second. Any discussion from the audience about the construction report? Any more from the board?
Ken,
All in
appreciate the
favor, yes?
update, man.
All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Opposed, no. All right, moving down to evaluation of bids.
Mr. Hicks, if it's all right with you and the board, I'll take the bid number 2022, which is the new Sterlington Middle School.
Okay.
You should have a bid tab in front of you. We only had 2 bidders, which was Don Barron and Man Construction. The budget was misprinted. It should have been 28 million instead of 25 million. But I recommend the base bid plus all 3 alternates. Call to your attention, these alternates are deduct alternates, not add alternates. So if you take all 3 and add them together, they'll be deducted from the base bid.
The base bid includes all 3.
Yeah.
Right.
So who you recommending?
I'm recommending the base bid plus all 3 alternates.
Okay.
Don Barry.
That's Barry.
For Don Barron.
Don Barron.
Price is saying, shaking his head no.
Yes.
The recommendation should be just the base bid and don't accept the alternate.
Right, because they're deducts. That's
So
right.
that needs to be corrected.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
So
it's just that, just
base bid.
approve the base bid
Don Barron.
with Don Barron.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to accept the bid for Don Barron.
I move we approve the low bid of $30,396,000 on construction of Sterlington Middle School for contractor Don Barron.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion from the audience? From the board?
I'm a little confused. So it's.
I am too. But
Yeah.
The 30 million.
I've been a lot of jobs in my life I never deducted anything from.
I was confused too, Scott, but I think I was talking to Rice before the meeting and straightened it out. The base bid of $30,396,000 includes the 3 alternates. Okay, so if you wanna.
We're not deducting.
We're not deducting any of the alternates from the base bid.
They're included in the base.
They're included in it. Okay.
They're included in the base bid.
Yeah, I just wanted to clear that up, that we're not.
That makes it look like a better
Yeah,
bargain.
it's gonna be less than it is. Someone's gonna ask that question.
Oh, yeah.
That makes it look like a better bargain. Any more discussion from the board? All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no? Motion carries.
I would like to ask Rice, for just for the record, Rice, when do you expect Barron to be able to start the construction on the school?
They're probably gonna start probably within 45 days. A lot of paperwork to do, but mobilization probably will happen.
So the earliest would be February, latest would be March.
Good.
Okay. And it's about an 18 months is what the contract is
18 months,
to finish the school.
calendar, construction.
Okay. So we'll keep our fingers crossed, hope for good weather and possibly maybe get into the school
fall of next year. Fall of 2023.
Okay. Valuation of bids, item number 10, Mr. Bobby Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. Board members, first item on there is portable tracks and trikes. I'd like to recommend rejecting both bids that we received from AAA State of Play. Both bids are over budget, and the federal dollars are not there right now for that project. So I need to reject both of those bids.
Okay, all right, do we have a motion and a second to reject both of these bids?
So move.
Second.
Okay, any discussion from the audience? On the board? All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Next item, Mr. Hicks. Actually, I'm only dealing with items 33 through 39. We had originally approved Veritiv as the low bidder. They cannot get the copy paper here. And so we're going to have to go to the next bidder, which is Jackson Paper, but only on items 33 through 39. And I've highlighted, I've bold typed those for you. So
Okay, these items 33 and 32, 39.
33 through 39.
All right, do we have a motion and a second on items 33, 39?
I so move.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion from the audience? From the board? All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Last item, Mr. Hicks, is for ag science materials. And I recommend the low bid from Matheson on bid items 1 through 5.
1 through 5 from Matheson. We have a motion and a second to accept the bid. So move.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion from the audience? From the board? All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. Thank you, board members.
Okay. Okay, items number 11 is permission to bid. You want to take all of these?
Absolutely, Mr. Hicks.
1 through 9,
1
permission.
through 9. I do need to make one correction on number 7. That should just be 3522. Number 8 should be RFP 3622. So we'll get that corrected now.
Okay.
And switches and access points. This is for the IT department. There's a multi-purpose building and some canopies for Richwood High School. Some additional ag science materials that we believe are coming. It is time to do our regular copy paper bid, which will open sometime in February. I have some surplus equipment at West Monroe High School, a couple of Suburbans that they're wanting to get rid of. And also we got some buses and some other materials out at the bus garage that we need to get rid of. The antibacterial soap will be coming through the warehouse folks. Paper hand towels, same thing. Some education materials. This is for a new curriculum for next school year. And since we rejected the portable tracks and trikes, I'm rebidding that.
We have a motion and a second for permission to bid on these items.
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion from the audience? From the board?
Bob, would you explain to me what portable tracks and trikes are? I hate to vote on something on.
Absolutely, Mr. Manley. The track is, the trikes actually run on the track.
The trikes run on the track.
Yes, sir. And the track is actually in pieces. So they put it together like in sections. Sort of like a little Hot Wheels track. The kids actually.
So it's
ride
used
on.
inside?
Sir?
It's inside?
It's outside.
Outside use?
Yes, sir, it's outside.
Playground type
Yes,
stuff?
that's correct.
Causes fewer accidents.
What was that, Tommy?
You can't run over each other when you're on track.
A choo-choo train.
On the bid item number 2,
Yes, sir.
under the multi-purpose canopies for Richwood High School, the budgeted amount is $2,100,000.
2,100,000. Yes, sir. That's the amount that I was told. That's the amount that's on the sheet.
Doesn't include architect fee and all, some of the,
And if the bid is higher,
it can be accepted. That is not including the, where we added the second bond that was just passed, if needed.
okay.
Bobby, I want to thank you for taking care of the egg bid on a monthly basis for the school board. I appreciate you and Ms. Carrerio working all that out.
I thank
We
you,
had
Mr.
bid
Mayor.
on eggs in probably 12 months, haven't we?
It's been almost a year, and that, all that.
I've noticed that.
All that goes back to Ms. Carrero. I have to give her kudos for that.
Tell Ms. Carrerio, I sure appreciate it.
I will do that, Mr. Manley.
Them monthly bids on eggs was a little excessive.
Well, it was sort of a highlight of the meeting now.
One last thing, Mr. President. Bobby, either Dr. Copeland, I know that we talked about getting some supplies to different teachers, and can you just tell us where we are on that?
I will. Actually, I have that in my superintendent's report.
Okay. You're ahead of me.
Any more discussion from the board? All in favor, yes?
Yes.
You missed audience.
Did I miss your hand? I thought I asked for comments from the audience.
I didn't hear it. I wanted to bring back forth, I see the antibacterial soap, paper hand towels, and supplies for educators and everybody's on here. I wanted to meet with Dr. Coker, and I apologize, I've been all over the state in meetings and things. The mitigation measures that we can meet on, and if I need to, I can speak on it under the superintendent's report, but there's a gentleman that installs UV lighting into the air ducts, okay? And it's been proven across the country. A lot of doctors' offices use this. A lot of hospitals are moving to this. And it reduces transmission of airborne viruses, bacterial and viral, on the upwards of 80, 90 to 100%. So if these are, and I'm according to medical professional experts locally, this is something that really needs to be considered used under the ESSER funding, so that all of these other, like masking and all these other things, wouldn't even be necessary or even an issue anymore, because the UV lighting is going to do the purpose of reducing transmission through airborne things. Now, you'll still have to clean the surfaces, like if a kid sneezes on the surface, you still got to use the bacterial wipes and stuff and get that cleaned up pretty quickly. But through air ducts and the air transmission, that UV lighting is something that really needs to be put in a discussion topic, or I can meet with y'all on that. And Mr. Bobby Parks is who was suggested by community medical professionals who installs this across the country. Again, his name is Bobby Parks. He's someone that y'all can reach out to try to have this, budgeted in with these ESSER funds.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you. Any more discussion from the audience or the board? Motion carries. Yeah. We done voted.
No, we hadn't voted yet. No, we hadn't voted yet. But she wanted to take the comments.
Yeah, but I went back. Okay. All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Opposed, no? Motion carries. Board, our next meeting is February the 8th at 12 o'clock. Dr. Coker?
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. Just a few things that I want to mention to you, board. First of all, congratulations and thank you for the job that you do, and our chance to be able to recognize you this month in particular at what you do. I have the opportunity to speaking to all of these 7 on a daily or weekly basis, and I can tell you their heart is in the right place. I appreciate your steadfastness in what you're doing here. So thank y'all for what you do on that. I do want to give you just a quick update. I think we had it put on our website. It's out there. But since we have returned from the holidays, what we are doing, and we're monitoring, the governor has his report weekly now as far as numbers that are going up and everything that's going on that. But Jennifer, would you come forward and just give them a really quick update on where we are as far as quarantining? And even before she does that, I wanted to give you some numbers for today also on teachers that are out. We have 133 teachers out that is COVID related COVID-related means that they don't all necessarily have COVID, but they could be out because they have been in close contact or they are quarantining. So if you want to compare that to last week, it was around 170. So it's not enough numbers to make me feel really good yet. And we have some hot pockets or hot spots throughout the district. But as I looked at the numbers overall, they're looking better. And that's a good thing because substitute is finding the subs is pretty tough. As a matter of fact, we have 5 from the central office that are certified teachers that are out subbing today, just right here. So give us a quick update, if you would, Jennifer, on where we are with COVID measures.
Good afternoon, board members. The LDH, I gave each of you an updated decision tree that they updated on December 30th. So if you want to look at it, it's got a close contact side and it's got a symptomatic side. The LDH determined that the majority of the spreading of COVID was occurring early in the course of the illness, from the 1 to 2 days prior to the onset of symptoms and then up to 2 to 3 days. So they have recommended for anyone exposed to COVID, if they're unvaccinated, to quarantine 5 days. If they're asymptomatic, they can come back after the 5 days with a mask on for the following 5. So for those that don't want to come back with a mask, they can do the whole 10 days at home like we were doing before. If they are vaccinated, then they must wear their mask for 10 days unless they choose to quarantine. Positive. If they test positive, they're going to go back, and there's been a little confusion on this, they're going to go back to the date of the onset or the positive test, whichever comes first, and they will isolate for 5 days. If asymptomatic and fever-free, then they can return on day 6 through 10. So if they started having symptoms on one day, say it's a Friday, Saturday would be day 1, or if the positive test, whichever came first. This is a way to get kids back at school, but also still using precautions. And again, for those that don't want to come back with a mask, they can do the full quarantine.
Okay.
Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Jennifer's been a very busy lady just with, looking at the various quarantine guidelines that are out there. And I will tell you, student-wise, today we have 3,154 students not in school. Those are not necessarily COVID-related. Some are quarantining. But if you compare that to Friday, understanding, especially the high school folks in here, understanding that Friday before a holiday weekend, you normally are going to have more out, was 4,299 out on Friday, 3,154 today. And so, and I will tell you, I called in all of our cabinet, our leadership team, all of our principals, and I just feel like that, and I've talked with all of our board members, but I feel like that we need to do everything we can do to keep our schools open. And if I have to close a school here or there, then so be it. I'll close a school here or there. But to close an entire district and to have, in this case, 15,000 students at home trying to get, we have 18,000 students, trying to get that virtual instruction is just not real conducive to what our students need. And so I cannot say how proud I am of our schools, our administrators at our schools. They're the boots on the ground. Paraprofessionals have done a tremendous job stepping up, filling in, helping us where we need to cover classes where we could not get some of those substitutes. And so I can't brag on our people enough on how they are doing. They know that if you need help, call us. We will be there. We will help you. We will send someone there. And we have a rotation schedule here at the central office of about 35 certified teachers on it that are in another capacity that are going to be willing to go and to fill in and to sub as needed if we have some of those really critical areas where they cannot fill from within. If Ouachita Parish Schools closes schools for 4 days, you can just about say we're closing the economy in Ouachita Parish for 4 days. because I have so many parents that work, and I cannot, in good conscience, do that. It's going to have to get really bad, y'all. I'm just telling you, for me to be able, and it would be a school at a time and not something district-wide. And I'll tell you, we had districts all around us close for 2 days last week, leading into the MLK holiday, and that's their decisions. You know, if they don't have bus drivers that can drive buses and get kids there, then then they can't get kids to school. We are so fortunate that we called on coaches who are certified bus drivers to actually run routes in the morning and routes in the afternoon, and then teach during the day to be able to fill in. So we have done some things that we normally don't have to do or haven't had to do, and I'm so appreciative of the people that we have out there that we've been able to do just that in order to keep our students in school. So kudos out to all of our employees for doing such a great job. One last thing, we will be honoring and recognizing our Students of the Year in a celebration on Thursday of this week. It'll be at Bayou Point on ULM's campus, and so we're always excited to get our elementary, middle, and high school Students of the Year. And Ouachita Parish has been blessed with great students. We've actually had state winners in this, so we're looking forward to celebrating those successes on Thursday of this week. So board members, if you've not RSVP'd to Alene, please do so, and we'll make sure we have you a seat at the table there. That's all I have, Mr. Hicks.
Do we have any public comments about what Dr. Coker just said?
This agenda was packed with lots of great information. I do want to go over the updated quarantine guidelines. As you mentioned, a lot of your guidelines and policy either comes from the LDH, through Bessie, or through Forethought Consulting. So I just want to provoke some thoughts and questions for you all to consider. Where was the guidance for this coming from? Was it on behalf of the governor and the LDH? Therefore, you would be acting as state actors, which is not okay. Or did it come from the consulting agency that is third party to making policy for you guys? And so I was at the Oversight Health Committee meeting down south. Everybody know Mike Eccles, right? He's a representative up here. He actually hammered the LDH voice, Dr. Cantor, and proved and had backing that the shot does not prevent transmission. Otherwise, you wouldn't need booster after booster after booster after booster. Therefore, this shot is not a COVID preventable or a preventable disease intervention, okay? Therefore, it cannot, by law, and the AG is fighting this currently in court on behalf of students and workers and everybody, it cannot be added to the schedule. However, the childhood vaccine schedule. However, the governor did his veto of that. He overrode the people's voice in that committee and has now stated that school districts are going to be required to, put that on the schedule for listed vaccines. Now, this policy, the updated quarantine guidelines, specifically discriminates between vaccinated and unvaccinated students. Currently, this is not on the schedule. So how are you going to prove? You can't ask for it because this isn't on the vaccine schedule. So how are you going to, are you just expecting parents to say to not have to miss work or not have to be out as many days on quarantine? Are you expecting them to show their proof of card for that vaccine? Currently, in a cease and desist, it actually states that the school board, with this guideline, it is discriminating policy concerning the quarantine based on a person's physical condition. You're already breaking the law with RS 17170, and I hope that y'all can write that down. Under Section F, it says strikes a balance between those opting out of a vaccination and the general health of the student population. And then it lists a vaccine preventable disease. The shot is not a vaccine preventable disease, so it should not be anywhere in your policy making. It should not be in a guideline. It should not be on your employees. It should not be anywhere in there. All that mess should be halted at least until the AG has a Supreme Court ruling on whether or not this is going to go forward, okay? And all of you have stated you're not for it. You're not for putting it on your students. So you need to go ahead and dismiss that or update it or make your own policy, which you have the power to do. And you're our voter voice, okay? So that is another guideline and policy that needs to be edited now because you're in violation of that. Not only by the law, but also by a cease and desist that was issued on behalf of parents, okay, of this district. So just wanted to let y'all know.
Thank you. Any more comments?
Yeah, one quick thing. I've been coming in here since August, and it's like we've come in here and some other parents just pounded and pounded and pounded y'all. I think we figured it out, and today was amazing. And I want to thank y'all for listening. I want to thank y'all for hearing what we had to say, for stepping forward and then making motions. Things are working, and we can support this. Like, we can support this. I'll be reaching out to y'all over the next couple of weeks. No, I reached out to you a few weeks ago, and because we want to do what's best for the kids. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to address my concerns on these vaccines. I'm sorry, I get a little upset about it because if you even take your blinders off and look anywhere but where the narrative tells us to look, if we look outside of what they tell us to look at, the VAERS speaks highly, the death, the myocarditis, the Bell palsy, the list goes on and on. The young athlete, over the last 6 months, there's been 30 or more healthy in the prime of their life athletes dropping dead on the field. There's just so much going on, so much injuries, so many people being censored, doctors, nurses, people that are willing to walk away from their whole life's work to stand up and say, this is dangerous. It's dangerous for us. It's dangerous for our kids. We don't know the effects of the fertilities. We're seeing the miscarriages. We're seeing things with the babies being born that are not being discussed. This, in my personal opinion, and a lot of other parents' personal opinion, people, it's a poison, and it's nothing good. If you look at last year, we didn't have all these outages. We didn't have teacher shortages, nurses shortages, bus driver shortages. There was COVID. But now that these vaccine injuries are coming along, I feel this is where a lot of our shortages are coming from, either from injuries, because you still get sick with it, or people walking away from their job because they refuse to take this poison. And people are either on one side strongly for it or the other side strongly for it. And I just come to y'all and I ask y'all where y'all personally stand on this, because a lot of people say, well, it's not happening here to me, so, I'm just not going to look at it. But it is here in America. It is. People are being arrested for not showing their papers, trying to go in to a restaurant and eat. People are being wrestled down to the floor for not wearing a mask. But it's not here yet, so it don't bother me. Just last month in Jefferson Parish, they have these mobile vaccine units they rolled up, and they vaccinated kids at school without their parents' consent or knowledge. I'm a mother. I have a son in the Ouachita Parish school system. I'm sorry I'm upset. Is there a better time we can speak more on this? Where do y'all stand on this policy? Are y'all going to mandate that we either inject our kids what we feel is poison? They don't even want to release what the ingredient is. 50 years. We'll all be dead and gone in 50 years before we even know what's in there. We will never know the extent of the damage. We are starting to see the effects of the damage. Like I said, if we look back at this time last year, COVID was here last year, but it wasn't this bad. It wasn't this bad. I feel like the vaccines are multiplying and hyping up the COVID to fit the narrative, to do it. And I don't want to be an extremist, but I am extreme in my belief
That is poison and is not to be forced upon our children.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just have a quick statement. I'm Spencer Young, live in West Monroe. I want to express my support for Tiffany's statement that in the beginning, this shot was sold to us as something that was going to stop transmission of COVID, and it was going to do all this great stuff, and everybody's going to get to resume their lives and take off their mask. And along the way, when they realized their emergency use product was not working the way it was touted to work, they changed the narrative. Now it's, you just won't get as sick with the shot. So I want to express to you my support of Tiffany's statement that your policy does not need to include the language that a shot of this mRNA product will give you any benefit, or the lack of it will take any benefit from you. It's every day we're learning more and more about just the absolute ridiculous nature of this product, you know, in terms of what we've been told it would do and what we should be able to expect from it. So I do hope that you'll consider this and that you will take that language out of your policies. Okay, thank you.
I don't know if y'all remember me. I talked to y'all before. How are y'all doing today? I hope we're all well. I honestly don't care if you're vaccinated or not. That's your personal choice. That's what I live in Louisiana for. It's personal choice. I was raised here. Been considering leaving because of everything that's been going on. Been seeing that there's not really people standing up for our people's rights to choose whether or not we want to put something in our body, or whether or not we want to be in a ritual or a prayer, or I don't even want to talk about how we've already separated God from our community, from our schools already enough. Sorry. My point is when are we going to come together as a community, whether we're vaccinated or not, and help each other stand up for what we believe in? This is going to be our children's and our children's children's world if we're lucky enough for it to last that long. There is so many things in my life that I've seen come and go. I'm going to be soon 40. I was a child of this school, not this school system, Louisiana school system. And now my children are in it. And I am terrified because there's not enough, I want to say, support, care, concern. There's so many other words that can go there for how we're going to help them be able to grow or succumb to our communities and what we need them to do. And everybody's right. There hasn't been any kind of real investigations as to what's going to go into our bodies. There's too many conspiracies as to why it's going on. But it comes down to the fact that we are the ones that are standing against it. We are the ones that are going to have to answer for how our children, because they're on our skirt tails until they reach the age of accountability. So it is up to us whether we decide how we stand and speak. And a lot of the world looks at us as how we bring our children up. A lot of the world don't have the mannerisms and the respect and the care that we do still instill into our children. They look at us And we look at y'all. Y'all were here before us, older generations. But it's fallen onto us and it's causing us to divide. And we need to wake up and realize it's all about our children.
Any more discussion from the board? Oh, yeah. Do I have a motion to adjourn?